You sit in the dim light of your room, staring at the same screen that promises freedom yet keeps you chained. Notifications blink, updates roll in, numbers dance across feeds, none of them yours. Someone you once mentored just bought a car you can't afford. Another person you secretly consider mediocre just announced a business expansion. You close the tab, pretending you don't care, but the truth slides beneath your skin like a cold knife. You wonder how they did it. You're sharper, more disciplined, more aware. Yet somehow, they climb while you stand still. What you're witnessing is not luck. It's a quiet execution of strategy, one you were never taught to recognize. Every time you doubt yourself, they use your hesitation as leverage. Every time you wait for fairness, they rewrite the rules. You're playing chess believing it's about honesty, while they're playing war disguised as commerce. There's a trap hidden beneath every polite success story, the illusion that intelligence alone brings wealth. It doesn't. Intelligence without manipulation is isolation. You think the world rewards merit, but the world rewards perception, alliances, and timing. You keep your mind sharp, but your instincts dull. And they, those you call fools, exploit your blindness. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. In Florence, he watched clever men starve while cunning men ruled. He saw scholars drown in poverty because they mistook knowledge for power. He wrote The Prince not to glorify deceit, but to warn those too naive to see its necessity. He knew that people who cling to idealism end up feeding those who weaponize it. The brutal truth is simple: wealth doesn't flow to the smartest. It flows to the most strategically shameless. You, meanwhile, are trapped in a moral cage built by teachers who never escaped it themselves. You think humility is noble. They use it to step on you. You think waiting your turn is discipline. They call it hesitation. You think fairness is the foundation of success. They see it as a weakness to exploit. The question isn't whether you're capable. It's whether you're willing to unlearn the virtues that keep you obedient. You were told the world is a meritocracy. But Machiavelli would laugh at that. He'd tell you that merit means nothing without manipulation of perception. That intelligence unarmed by strategy becomes self-sabotage. He'd remind you that fortune is not random, it's seduced, coerced, and occasionally stolen. He'd tell you that the rich understand human nature. The poor only understand effort. And that's where your downfall begins. You believe effort guarantees reward. But effort is predictable, and what's predictable is exploitable. The world doesn't pay you for how hard you work. It pays you for how hard you are to replace. The dumb rich know this instinctively. They hire, delegate, and outsource. They surround themselves with brains they can buy. You hoard your intelligence like treasure, refusing to share control. They use yours against you. Machiavelli once wrote that fortune favors the bold, not the cautious. Boldness isn't recklessness, it's audacity calculated through opportunity. Those dumber people you envy, they act while you analyze. They enter rooms before they're ready, forcing the world to adjust to their confidence. You wait for perfection, waiting for proof you'll win before you play. They win because they're willing to look foolish in public while they learn in private. You stay broke because you want to look competent before you even start. The prince who fears ridicule never wears the crown. You think your intellect will eventually speak for itself. It won't. The world is deaf to intelligence unwrapped in confidence. People buy conviction, not correctness. They follow certainty, not complexity. And those you call dumb have mastered certainty as performance art. Every empire, ancient or modern, is built not by the most enlightened minds, but by those who convince others to believe in their authority. Wealth is belief weaponized. And belief always beats reason. You over-explain. They oversimplify. You second-guess. They declare. You wait for recognition. They demand it. In the court of perception, subtlety is suicide. Look around, the influencer who can't define real value yet sells confidence by the kilogram, the CEO whose charisma hides incompetence, the politician who wins hearts with empty slogans. They all understand what Machiavelli taught, that it's not the truth that rules the world, but the illusion of control over it. They sell certainty. You sell accuracy. Their product converts. Yours gets ignored. The marketplace is not fair, it's psychological theater. Those who master narrative control the script. You keep trying to be understood. They keep trying to be believed. That's the difference. Machiavelli's brutal truth cuts deep. People dumber than you get rich because they embrace human irrationality instead of fighting it. They exploit the fact that people don't want logic, they want leadership. They don't crave facts, they crave feeling safe around confidence. You're trying to win by being right. They're winning by being convincing. That's why you stay broke. Pause for a moment and think about every fool you've underestimated. That classmate who never studied but knew everyone. That coworker who talks more than they deliver. That entrepreneur who can barely write a coherent sentence but closes deals weekly. You despised them because they reminded you of everything unfair about success. But in truth, they were your teachers in disguise. They understood that attention is the new currency, and confidence is the mint that prints it. You thought intelligence was the game. They realized it's just a tool. You spend your brilliance building perfection, they spend their imperfection building leverage. You chase mastery. They chase momentum. And the market rewards momentum because the crowd moves faster than reason. The Renaissance merchants of Florence played this same game. They'd sponsor artists, manipulate trade routes, and bribe officials to maintain power. It wasn't intellect that built dynasties, it was adaptability. Machiavelli watched them. He admired not their ethics but their efficiency. He saw how men who understood perception could own those who merely understood theory. You, the thinker, are enslaved by your own need to be understood. They, the opportunists, exploit that hunger for validation. They let you explain while they execute. You believe in fairness. They believe in positioning. In a room full of people, you wait for your turn to speak. They interrupt. They hijack the narrative. They make themselves unavoidable. And while you judge their arrogance, the room adjusts around their energy. Because dominance, not intelligence, sets the tone. You hesitate to ask for what you deserve. They demand more than they've earned. And the world, confused by confidence, gives it to them. You see, Machiavelli never said you should abandon morality. He said you should control it. Appear moral. Act strategic. Project virtue, pursue victory. The moment you separate appearance from action, you gain freedom. The fools who get rich do this instinctively, they curate an image of progress even when they're improvising. You, however, reveal your uncertainty because you equate transparency with honesty. Honesty without boundaries is self-exposure. You call them fake. They call you predictable. They understand that perception is armor. You insist on walking into battle naked, carrying the flag of truth. And every time, you bleed first. Machiavelli's world was one of deception, alliances, and manipulation. Ours is no different, only digitized. The princes now wear suits and hold smartphones. The wars are fought with branding and attention. And the dumb rich are simply those who mastered this digital court faster than you did. They learned that money follows magnetism. You're still trying to earn it through purity. You think humility is honorable. They weaponize humility as marketing. They perform modesty online while quietly building networks offline. You, meanwhile, retreat from visibility, believing silence is dignity. But silence, in this age, is invisibility, and invisibility is death. They exaggerate results to attract opportunity. You downplay results to appear authentic. They understand that attraction scales lies faster than truth. The result? They own narratives, you own integrity. One gets rewarded. The other gets forgotten. You might tell yourself that competence will outshine bravado. But competence is quiet. Bravado is visible. Visibility commands attention. Attention commands opportunity. Opportunity commands wealth. The less intelligent you think you are compared to someone else, the more you underestimate the importance of being unavoidable. The rich understand one brutal truth: it isn't what you know that matters. It's how others perceive that you know it. They don't wait for mastery, they act as if mastery is theirs and let the world catch up. They create the illusion of control, and in that illusion, others hand them authority. You, on the other hand, wait for your skill to speak. But skill has no voice without theater. Every time you argue with logic, they persuade with certainty. Every time you hesitate to assert value, they project confidence and claim resources that might have been yours. Your intelligence becomes a burden when it is used to justify inaction. Their ignorance becomes an asset when it allows them to move without restraint. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must appear stronger than he is, smarter than he is, and more virtuous than he is, for appearances alone shape reality. Those who get rich before you, the ones you consider lucky or less capable, already live by this principle. They understand that perception precedes reality, and they engineer perception relentlessly. Look at business leaders who lack technical knowledge but thrive. They hire experts to handle execution, while they navigate networks, negotiations, and optics. Look at social media personalities who cannot code, write, or even create original ideas, yet they monetize trends and attention at a staggering pace. Intelligence alone does not make wealth. Influence does. You cling to the idea that hard work is enough. The world does not reward effort, it rewards leverage. Effort is invisible. Leverage is visible, contagious, and replicable. Those you dismiss as less capable have learned to leverage every interaction, every asset, and every perception. They understand that moving first, acting boldly, and projecting inevitability beats being technically correct every time. You waste time on calculation. They waste time on execution. You fear making mistakes. They exploit mistakes as teaching tools, knowing that momentum often outweighs precision. And the most infuriating truth: they do this instinctively, without hesitation, while you overanalyze until opportunity passes. Consider the Renaissance merchants Machiavelli observed. Their intelligence wasn't always superior to their competitors. But their audacity, their ability to manipulate networks and perception, built fortunes that have endured centuries. Today, the digital marketplace is no different. A person with less skill but more strategic visibility will always capture market share faster than someone with higher competence but slower execution. The world you inhabit rewards presence, not perfection. Those you think are dumber have mastered the art of presence. They announce wins before they are complete, They create narratives before reality confirms them, and they act as if the crown is already theirs. You, ever the analyst, wait for certainty that never comes. They play the psychological game you refuse to play. They understand that perception is sticky, that confidence creates followers, and that followers create wealth. They don't worry about being understood, they focus on being unavoidable. You try to be understood, hoping clarity will suffice, and you are ignored. And here is the harshest lesson: intelligence without strategic audacity is like a sword kept in a scabbard. It is sharp, it is beautiful, but it does nothing. Boldness alone can cut through chaos. Execution, even flawed, often wins more than deliberation. The dumb rich get rich because they act before thought convinces you to hesitate. They are willing to appear foolish publicly to gain leverage privately. They understand timing, momentum, and the ruthless allocation of attention. You, trapped in preparation and perfection, remain invisible. In the courts of Florence, Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold. In today's economy, fortune favors the visible, the decisive, and the audacious. Those who seem less capable are often the ones who seize opportunity without the burden of self-doubt. You overthink, they overtake. You pride yourself on competence. They profit from confidence. You insist on moral clarity. They act strategically within moral ambiguity. You fear ridicule. They understand that ridicule is often a signal of moving faster than others. In the modern renaissance of commerce and influence, appearance is power. They build castles of perception, while you stockpiles reason. Your reasoning matters little when it is drowned out by their projected authority. Consider the entrepreneur who cannot articulate a business plan clearly, yet raises millions because the world believes in the story they tell. Consider the corporate climber whose lack of technical skill is irrelevant because they dominate meetings, networks, and optics. Consider the influencer who mispronounces every word but sells dreams with conviction. They are living proof that intelligence is secondary to perception, audacity, and strategic positioning. You cling to reality. They bend it. You wait for proof. They create it. You seek validation. They extract it from others through confidence and narrative control. This is the Machiavellian truth you must confront. The world rewards those who play the psychological game better than those who play the intellectual game. Your intellect is wasted unless it is weaponized through audacity, strategy, and perception. The dumb rich do not lack intelligence, they lack your restraint. They act with decisiveness unhampered by overanalysis. They navigate chaos with clarity, using momentum as a shield. You are constrained by analysis, they are liberated by action. Every interaction you overthink, every opportunity you delay, every argument you rationalize instead of asserting, all of it fuels their rise while you stagnate. Your intelligence becomes a liability when it shackles execution. Their ignorance becomes an advantage when it propels movement. Machiavelli observed that a prince must manipulate appearances and control perception because the masses respond more to illusion than truth. Apply this today: those dumber than you have mastered illusion without your hesitation. They project certainty where none exists, dominate attention where you remain passive, and convert perception into tangible results while you wait for the perfect moment. You are blinded by the belief that merit alone should reward you. They understand that visibility, decisiveness, and narrative control outweigh merit every time. They get rich not because they know more, they get rich because they act as if they already do. And the most infuriating part? They teach the world nothing about their true capability. Their secret is in selective revelation. You broadcast every flaw in your reasoning. They reveal only what amplifies their authority. You seek approval from peers, they command it through execution. If you fail to recognize this, you will remain perpetually behind. Your intellect is wasted. Your effort is invisible. Your morality becomes predictability. And the fools you despise continue to accumulate wealth, influence, and followers with a seemingly effortless grace. This is the bitter lesson: intelligence is not enough. Audacity is required. Presence is required. Strategic illusion is required. The world rewards those who manipulate perception, act decisively, and seize momentum. Those you call dumber have already learned this. The question now is simple: will you adapt or remain a slave to your own precision? Will you allow your intelligence to stagnate into impotence, while others ascend through boldness, audacity, and tactical performance? Stop thinking brilliance guarantees success. Begin thinking strategy guarantees survival. Stop waiting for merit to speak. Start crafting the perception of inevitability. Stop hoping for fairness. Start exploiting human behavior. The world will not bend for your intelligence. It will yield to the confident, the audacious, and the strategic. Those who seem dumber than you have understood this truth better than you ever have. And until you do, the gap will only widen. You've spent your life believing that knowledge is power. But power is influence. Knowledge is a tool, influence is the weapon. The people who seem dumber than you? They've realized this distinction. They operate with fewer certainties but greater conviction. They speak boldly, act decisively, and create momentum while you polish details. Their mistakes are public, but their gains are private. Your perfection is visible, but it rarely yields leverage. Every empire, every corporation, every dominant individual in history has mastered the art of perception over raw intellect. Machiavelli understood this. He watched men who could recite philosophy starve, while opportunists who understood manipulation thrived. He observed that action trumps reasoning in the theater of human interaction. Today, the stage has changed. It is digital, global, instantaneous, but the principle remains immutable. Consider the startup founder who barely knows the technical details of their product, yet raises millions. Investors buy belief, not skill. Consumers buy confidence, not competency. Every dumb entrepreneur who seems luckier than you has learned that certainty masks incompetence. They perform mastery before reality confirms it. You wait for mastery before you act, and the world passes you by. You cling to preparation, calculation, and correctness. They cling to momentum, audacity, and perception. You fear risk. They manufacture it strategically. You think intelligence is obvious. They understand that intelligence must be hidden, measured, and deployed with precision. Machiavelli warned that fortune favors the bold, not the prudent. Boldness in action often outweighs brilliance in thought. And in a world driven by attention, boldness is amplified by perception. Those you consider less capable exploit this amplification effortlessly. They show confidence, they command visibility, and the world assumes authority. You assume truth guarantees reward. They assume perception governs reality. Look at modern influencers, politicians, and entrepreneurs. The most lucrative, the most followed, the most admired, often less competent than the ones they eclipse. Yet their perceived dominance converts into real-world outcomes, money, status, and opportunity. They leverage every interaction, every network, every narrative. They don't wait to be ready, they make readiness irrelevant. Meanwhile, you remain ensnared by your own standards. You overanalyze, overthink, and delay. You wait for certainty, clarity, and perfection. They act. An action, even flawed, is the currency that creates momentum. Intelligence unpaired with audacity is invisible. Audacity unpaired with intelligence can be corrected over time, but it moves first. Machiavelli described a world where the prudent fall behind the daring. You inhabit the same world, dressed in modern clothes, corporate ladders, social media feeds, global markets. The instruments have changed, but the principles remain unchanged. The dumb rich succeed because they understand the human psyche better than you do. They understand that people respond to confidence, momentum, and narrative more than competence, logic, or morality. They know how to wield mistakes as instruments, failure as proof of effort, and audacity as a mask of intelligence. You refuse to use these levers, believing ethics and precision should guide your path. And that refusal is why you are still watching from the sidelines. They act while you wait. They perform while you ponder. They take credit while you defer. They build perception while you chase validation. In every interaction, they extract value you leave on the table. In every opportunity, they generate momentum you fail to harness. Machiavelli would remind you that humans are driven by perception, not principle. Influence, not intellect. Boldness, not prudence. The fools who get rich before you have internalized this truth, consciously or not. And until you do, intelligence alone will never bridge the gap. You need to stop waiting for luck to reward diligence. You need to stop hoping for merit to earn attention. You must embrace the uncomfortable truth: those who seem dumber than you are often richer because they manipulate perception, exploit momentum, and act boldly before understanding is complete. You hesitate because of fear. They act because of audacity. Your caution is cost. Their risk is reward. You overestimate the value of reasoning in isolation. They underestimate it in favor of execution. The invisible difference is decisive. Now imagine your next move. Stop over-explaining. Stop waiting for perfect alignment. Stop expecting fairness. Start positioning yourself like they do. Build narrative. Claim presence. Execute before certainty. Learn to appear confident even while refining your skill. Make audacity your baseline. Make momentum your habit. Make perception your shield. The dumber rich are not inherently lucky. They are not smarter. They are not morally superior. They have discovered the laws of leverage, influence, and human behavior. They understood that wealth, power, and opportunity are psychological games played on the minds of others. They won because they acted while you debated. They won because they led perception while you rationalized reality. Machiavelli would say, fortune favors the bold, the decisive, the unreadable. And yet you wait. Waiting is your enemy. Action is theirs. Visibility is theirs. Momentum is theirs. And every day you delay, the gap widens. The transformation begins with acknowledgement. You must see the truth clearly. Intelligence is wasted if it is not weaponized. Ethics without strategy is irrelevant. Perfection without audacity is paralysis. And humility without leverage is invisibility. Stop trying to be understood. Start making others respond to you. Stop overthinking. Start executing. Stop waiting for opportunity. Start creating it. Stop fearing judgment. Start commanding attention. This is the harsh, brutal, Machiavellian reality. The world is ruled not by intelligence, but by action tempered with strategy. The dumb get rich because they mastered the human game, while you cling to principles that only make you predictable, cautious, and invisible. If you want to bridge the gap, you must unlearn everything that keeps you obedient. You must embrace audacity as a tool. You must wield perception as armor. You must convert intellect into decisive action. You must stop competing with intelligence alone and start competing with influence. Your brilliance will never suffice if it is silent. Your talent will never flourish if it waits for permission. Your morality will never protect you if it prevents strategy. You must move like the rich move, calculated, audacious, unavoidable, and strategically incomprehensible. Every hesitation, every overthought decision, every moral check you cling to, these are the invisible chains binding you. Those you call fools are free because they act despite uncertainty, project confidence regardless of skill, and exploit the gaps left by your overanalysis. Machiavelli's final lesson resonates: in a world ruled by perception, the man who controls the narrative is king. Those who seem dumber have already claimed the throne, and the only way to contest it is to adopt their methods without surrendering your intellect. Stop rationalizing. Stop hesitating. Stop explaining. Start acting. Start performing. Start commanding presence. Start mastering the psychological landscape that governs wealth. Stop waiting for others to acknowledge your intelligence, make them acknowledge your influence. The transformation is ruthless, precise, and invisible. It is the cultivation of audacity, perception, and decisive action. It is the art of turning intelligence into power without being predictable. It is learning the brutal truth: the dumber people get rich not because they know more, but because they move first, act boldly, and wield human nature better than you ever have. This doesn't make you dishonest. It doesn't make you cruel. It makes you formidable. It makes you visible in ways that matter. It makes you unavoidable. And remember Machiavelli's eternal warning: in a world full of predators, the one who reveals no weakness cannot be touched. Move accordingly. Command perception. Act decisively. Exploit momentum. Convert your intelligence into influence. Build audacity into habit. Become unavoidable. And in doing so, you will close the gap between you and the dumb rich, because you will have learned what they already know.